Good evening, good morning and good night. My name is Damo and I'm reporting to you from the Coastal News. Today we are memorising and jumping back into the castle. Did you forget it? In today's breaking news we're going to analyse the language techniques and the culture and the identity, and we're going to talk about 3 key ideas whilst interviewing the person who wrote this amazing story. Right over to you, Sal, to get all the juicy seasoning from that director of ours.
So, I'm joined in the studio on the red couch by Rob Sitch, the director of The Castle. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
G'day, how you going, love?
Good. So what were some of the ideas you had in this film as a director and an author? What were you trying to get across to the viewers and the Australian public?
Well, I had many key ideas during this film. I had 3 in particular that I really liked and wanted to address. So those 3 key ideas for me were class, colonialism and ethnicity.
Oh, okay. And look, there was one particular scene that I thought really showed some class in there. That was the famous chicken scene. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, well, by the idea of how class is shown in this scene, it's the love for the Kerrigan's simplicity and authenticity. It is very present during this film. This is typically due to, a lower socio-economic status, lack of resources, and they are forced to adapt. This quote, oh, what do you call this? And then the simplicity of, seasoning. And then Daryl once again goes, oh, what's the stuff sprinkled on it? And Sal responds with seasoning.
Yeah.
So
the chicken scene really seemed to show that they were happy with the simple things. No filet mignon over there.
no, certainly not there, love.
So
Certainly not.
how, Rob, did you get language and use that to challenge or affirm the ideas about the culture and identity?
Well, the short answers and the abbreviations that they typically use in a lower class, it challenges other cultural identities, and they were just so casual. And class can be depicted as, the Kerrigans educationally not being up to the standards that they should be. They can be seen as dumb or not knowledgeable.
But in true form, they were just happy to be themselves in their own class.
Their family values were much more important than most things, and they value egalitarianism. I can't say that word anymore, but you get the gist I'm going at.
I do.
Of Australia, and especially in the character Daryl, he's very passionate about living a free and equal lifestyle in Australia.
Yeah, all classes are equal, absolutely. So, Rob, class, colonialism and ethnicity are all key themes in the film. How would you say colonialism appears throughout the film?
Oh, well, very good question. Well, the key idea of the scene where, Daryl is with his family and he says to his wife, he goes, oh, now I understand how the Aborigines felt. And then Sal turns around and says to him, oh, have you been drinking? Well, I think that scene particularly demonstrates the colonialism that is shown, because Airlink is seen as an oppressive force in their community. They're taken over so many of their houses, but they do it in a sense where they use their power of hierarchy and wealth and knowledge. They work within between the law to get what they want. And Daryl, he doesn't like that. He likes the fairness and egalitarianism.
And he likes everyone to have their freedom.
Yeah.
So how would you find, or how did you get language to use throughout the film to challenge and affirm the ideas of culture and identity? Obviously, the Indigenous example you gave beforehand was one. Are there any others where language really points out?
Well, typically it comes down to this has been seen as very rude and unethical. But Daryl, his use of irony in his language, it challenges all of these cultural norms that we do see today.
Yeah.
And he just really does a good job at doing that.
Absolutely. And I think the court scene was another scene where you saw that colonialism come through with the power of the courts.
Yeah, where the magistrate, demonstrated their power, and it can also be seen in the low angle shot that was shown in the
Cinematography.
Yeah, in the cinematography. So that technique shows the power that they have over Daryl in that situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Rob, tell me about the famous wedding scene and how that brings in the themes that you were talking about earlier.
Well, in this scene, Tracy and Con are getting married, and Daryl does make a speech, but it can be seen as inappropriate. Like, as he says, let's not beat around the bush, the Greeks have a reputation, and how he wants his daughter to marry one of their own, But Daryl uses a lot of irony towards the Greek ethnicity, and Con and his family do take offence to this, and they think he's having a go, but he only is trying to be humorous, and due to the different cultural norms and different families and different types of ethnicity, it's just not appropriate in terms of that scene. And it does challenge their cultural values as Greeks.
So what language would you say he used to challenge and affirm these cultural values and cultural identities, given that the families were from such different identities?
Well, I do believe that he uses a strong sense of irony, and he is brutally honest, but he does it out of the kindness of his heart.
And at the end of the scene, he actually said, "Oh, I love you and you're one of us, mate." So it really, I found that scene closed nicely.
As this kind of puts the Greeks into a separate category when he says he wants them to be one of their own, which does challenge their identity in a negative way. But comparatively, in the traditional household of Australia, that's not seen as inappropriate at all. It's
not seen as taboo at all.
Yeah, it's not seen as offensive. But it's acceptable.
We're going to have to wrap up very soon. So last question. You've talked a little bit about camera techniques that we used while we were filming previously. Were there any other techniques used at any particular times that you thought were really, really pivotal?
Well, I tended to always recommend the mid shot to all my cameramen. I really wanted to get a mid shot in there because due to the, it's nice and even panning, but it, it shows how there's so much value in authenticity and, cultural of being around family.
And it shows the norms better and captures those emotions.
It does demonstrate the norms, but as we learn about characters, as we learn about Daryl, we learn that he's extremely compassionate.
Oh, he's a good old Aussie bloke, Daryl, isn't he?
He's a kind-hearted
lover. Thank you so much for your time, Rob. We are grateful for the classic. And back to you in the station. Flipping back to you.
So thanks again to Rob Sitch for coming in, the director of this film, and creating this amazing, iconic movie for us all. Good evening, good morning, and good night from Damo and Coastal News.